Hey guys, welcome back! Between episodes, I actually managed to collect a decent amount of torchflower seeds and pitcher pods, thanks to Sniffle and Snuffle and their new friends Whiffle and Wuffle. Yes, I named them Whiffle and Wuffle, I don't really know what else you expect at this point. And I also ended up making this slightly more automated farm down in my farming area. However, it's not super efficient. I don't think these guys really like digging for seeds very much, possibly because they get confused by all the diggable stuff that's around them they can't get to. But either way, it does give some extra, which has definitely helped. And in case you're wondering, the ground is mud because sniffers will dig for seeds on mud, but you can also pick up items on top with hoppers thanks to them being less than a block tall, which is very helpful. But I digress. Today's episode is not about sniffers. No, today's episode is all about libraries, or at least library exteriors. As you may remember, we built this floor and the basic foundation for our library, but we still need to build the actual structure as well as all of the interior. I don't know if we'll get around to building both today, but let's see how I feel after getting this exterior done. You ready? Let's go. I can't lie, I am so happy with this library. I mean, I guess the outside is possibly a little bit simple, the walls are basically just variations of quartz after all, but I really like how clean and modern it all looks. Plus the dome and the green roofs just feel really nice. Also, I wasn't really sure what to do with this huge blank wall, so I decided it probably would have been graffitied on by some of the local kids. And I did have to make this wall double thick so the graffiti doesn't show on the inside, but I think it's worth it. But the main draw of the library is, of course, the inside. I did say I wasn't sure if I'd get both done in this episode, but once I started, I couldn't just leave this place as an empty shell, so I just went ahead and did all of it, and I am so glad that I did. So, as you enter, there is a nice welcome desk which will have some cartographers behind it once I move all of the villagers in. And then you can either go left or right, and while the building is basically mirrored, the interior isn't quite. There are some small differences. So, let's go left first, and of course, we are greeted with a very large bookshelf, as well as some smaller ones. And all of these areas that have carpet, I basically wanted them to feel like little sitting areas where someone can curl up with a book. Obviously, that's not really possible in Minecraft, but it felt like a nice touch. And then if we go around the corner, we have our main bookshelves, which is where all of our librarians will live. And then we have this nice little story time area for the kids, which I just think is really cute. And then up on the next level, we have some sofas for people to sit on, and we have some more bookshelves and decoration. Over on the right side of the library, we of course have plenty more bookshelves, but this time we have some more group seating for people to meet up and work on projects together, as well as plenty more space for librarians. And as you probably noticed, the bookshelves themselves are made up of bookshelves, chiseled bookshelves with a variety of books placed in them, and then some looms which hopefully look a lot like empty bookshelves. And also, on these big ones, I really like these ladders because they kind of feel like those sliding ladders that you see in huge libraries and films. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. So if we go upstairs again, we once again have a mixture of seating and bookshelves and various decorations. And then of course we have the third floor. I decided that this side should be dedicated to some more large sofas so people who want a quiet space can come up here and read with their friends. And also, can I just say how happy I am with this chandelier? And I mean the other one over there too. But I just really like how simple they look while also being quite effective. And then in this middle area, there's some more workspaces, and I really like these enchanting tables here, because they kind of feel like magic reference books or something, and it's very satisfying that it's when you walk up to them that they open and point directly at you, so it's like you're actually reading them. Also, the dome that's on this roof actually becomes a sphere as it comes through on this side, which I think makes for quite a nice ceiling. And then on this side, we have some more secluded workspaces for people who don't really want to be disturbed in their work. Although, I guess they may get disturbed because this is also the way out to the roof garden, which isn't anything elaborate, there's just some sort of blankets for people to sit down on while they read the books, but I really like it. Plus, I guess one benefit of being in the void is you don't have to worry about it raining while you read outside. But that's pretty much it for the library. Like I said, I am super happy with this place and I hope you guys like it too, but I think that's probably enough of the end for today. I'll probably move the villages next episode because there's something else I want to get to. Yep, there is a small overworld project that I would really like to tackle today, and that is creating the cherry blossom area of my island. As many of you know, I made it so that every tree type has its own biome on my island, so we've got spruce and jungle, acacia, mangrove, and everything. But in the latest update, they added cherry blossoms, and that has made my island incomplete again. So I've been thinking about where I could possibly add these trees, and there isn't really that much space left, but I think I've found just the place to put them. You know, at one point I was considering using one of the islands just off mine to put the cherry trees on. Possibly the one you can see right when you leave my house, but then I realised I've never quite known what to do with this side of the hill, and I really would prefer to keep all the trees directly on my island. I mean, Lord help me if they keep adding more. But anyway, back to this hill. I've got my terrace garden on the other side, which I really like, but I didn't want to just do the same thing over here, especially because I don't really have that many more colour combinations that I want to use. And I was thinking about these cherry trees, and I realised that they could be perfect for this area. Not only is it partly above my sniffer enclosure, which has the pink petals and everything anyway, but it also surrounds my own pink tree, which I built before this series even began, and it just feels fitting, I guess, to put these new trees around it now they've been added. One thing I do think is important though is that these trees don't obstruct the original up on top. I don't want it to get drowned out by these new trees, but instead be complemented by them, I guess. That tree is very special to me, so I don't want it to get lost, and I'm really hoping I can achieve that here. I will say though, it's a shame that the grass colour here is quite dark. It's a taiga biome, so it's to be expected, but I really don't want to replace all the floor here with moss since I think the transition's going to be a bit awkward, and I think it still looks good, especially with the pink petals around, but it probably would be a bit nicer if the grass was just a little bit greener. And I think that should do the trick. Now, I know, you're possibly thinking that I've gone wrong, because I talked about wanting to make sure I didn't obstruct my original tree, and you can't see it at all anymore. However, as I was doing this, I realised that no matter what, I'm not going to be able to keep all of the sightlines that I originally had. It could be seen from basically everywhere on my island, because it was alone on that hill with absolutely nothing around it. So instead, I decided to focus on making sure that the most important sightlines were still there. And to me, that's mostly making sure it can be seen properly from across the inlet over there, and also making sure it can be seen from all the paths that lead up the hill. So if we start at the inlet, the tree is still perfectly visible, and in fact, thanks to the perspective, you can't even really see the trees behind it, so you get a really defined view of the tree. As for the paths, we have one here that's next to my house, and you can perfectly see the tree, and you can also see the trees that line the path as well, which looks really, really nice. I have to admit, this next path from nearby my farm is probably my favourite view, and you can't really see much as you come up towards the path, but when you get here, it almost feels like a hidden gem, and I just love the way that this tree comes over the top. Unfortunately, most of the time I couldn't really get that to work on the other paths because of the stairs, but this one has a little bit more space before the incline starts, and it is so nice. On this third side, you can still see the tree when you're underneath the pergola, which is lovely, and one of the things I really noticed when I came to this angle is that the trees really do complement my tree. They all work together and look nice, but my tree still stands out and feels special instead of getting lost, which just makes me incredibly happy. And then this final path is probably the worst view, but it always was. It's just so much of a steeper path. I don't think I was ever going to get this quite right. And you can still definitely see the tree from down the bottom and up here, which is the main thing. And I know nighttime can kind of suck for videos some of the time, but I needed to show you guys this place at night. My tree just glows up there like a little beacon drawing your attention. And also, I don't use them super often, but it looks really nice with shaders too. But on that note, I think we're done for the day. I am super, super happy with how the library came out, and I'm very glad to have the cherry trees established on my island. Hopefully next time we can move the villagers into the library, and I'm actually not sure what else, but no doubt we'll get up to something fun. So, until then, thank you guys for watching, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!